The Mario movie trailer dropped and it actually looks pretty good. I was definitely in the camp of Warriors as soon as the cast list was put up. It has some of the Teen Titans Go writers and is made by Illumination. I think they do fantastic animation, but their writing is certainly an acquired taste. But hey, we got a trailer free of fart jokes, Kesha, and Toad going awkward! So that's a plus. The main thing that I loved about it was that it was Mario. It was a Mario movie. The locales were Mario. The characters, Mario. Taking place in a Mario world instead of Mario goes to the real world, dude. Everyone shown in the trailer is just from the games, which is apparently a lot to ask for movie adaptations of familiar series. The visuals are wonderful with a nice mix of cartoony and detailed stuff without that uncanny realism. Most characters are just looking like their game selves if they were more detailed. But of course, without falling into that disgusting Unreal Engine air quote remake territory. One could argue that the few changes some of them get even look better than their game versions. Like, I won't lie, I fell in love with Kamek. Kevin did a great job with one line and the sort of creepy, sort of feeble Kamek that almost like twitches when he talks and moves really works for him. With penguins and an eye patch Koopa, it's already shaping up to have more species variety than recent Paper Mario games too. Sad to say, we didn't get to see a lot of the characters announced or even hear Charlie's performance outside of a scream. Would have loved to see Peach, but I guess there's a leak and she looks nice in that if it's true. There are some visuals I'm not immensely keen on, like Toads having teeth or Mario and Luigi having a colored shirt. I think it's just because it gives them a neck and that looks weird. Stills of them leaned over or something look like how I pictured Mario. Bowser looks, sounds, and is animated phenomenally. Zero complaints, but who really doubted that he'd steal the show? He was always a favorite of mine, especially in RPG titles since he is such a fun character to write, jumping between goofy and terrifying whenever he feels like it. Jack did a good job of capturing this by adding some gravitas to his delivery, but just from the star scene alone, I can tell we're gonna have some super fun moments with him. Supposedly he's supposed to sing too, maybe? He was definitely the actor I was least worried about when the cast was announced. But then, I'm not sure if it's because you go from Jack Black being awesome to Chris, but he just felt so flat. I am not a big fan of Chris Pratt. I liked him in Parks and Rec, but he only has two voices. The serious whisper Chris Pratt and Andy Chris Pratt. Plus, after seeing him in the recent Thor, it seems like he's kind of just phoning it in. He does not sound like he wants to be there at all in Thor, and I really hope that's not the case here. This isn't a deal breaker for me by any means, but I've already seen people posting like, oh, we gotta hear more from him. No, we don't. The few lines Bowser had, Jack showed off that he was at least throwing on some growls for his voice. Kamek is amazing, and Feeble Kevin is fun. Keegan has a couple lines as Toad and showcases that he is mixing in a little classic Toad into his comedic voice, and then Chris Pratt just speaks like Chris Pratt. The most difference is a flat delivery for his final line that some are arguing is somewhat of an accent, but when you have interviews with him saying, I worked really closely with the directors and trying out a few things and landed on something that I'm really proud of and can't wait for people to see and hear. I'm providing a voice for an animated character, and it is updated and unlike anything you've heard in a Mario world before. We heard it. It's definitely you talking. I mean, you're right in the sense that it's nothing like we've ever heard in the Mario world, because prior to this, Chris Pratt didn't exist there. Ultimately, I think it boils down to the age-old practice of hiring a name rather than an actor, which is a whole other can of worms. As much as I love Disney's Aladdin, I'll never forgive them for betraying Robin Williams and starting the trend of name you know for animated films. Felt the same way about the Sonic movie. At least Charles is in this movie in some way, shape, or form. I know some argue that a "It's a me! Woohoo!" voice could get grating for an entire movie length, and there is some truth to that, but I mean, the French dub sounds more English Mario than Pratt Mario.
Royaume champignon, nous voilà!
Charles is also a great voice actor. If he can voice Parthenax, or however you say that, from Skyrim and Mario, I'm sure he could find a non-grating Mario voice. I also kind of like Mario's voice in Super Show, and would have loved something akin to that. Anything that wasn't just Chris Pratt sounding like how Chris Pratt sounds in every Chris Pratt piece of media. But hey, I guess the benefit from it is that you can take any line Chris Pratt has ever said, and it'll sound like it came from the Mario movie now.
Growing up, man, I spent hours of my life stomping Koopas.